there in the warehouse where the SS uniforms were stored. To pull it off, the group had meticulously prepared their break-in. They pried open a coal chute, leaving the trapdoor ajar so they could slip underground and emerge inside the SS warehouse itself. Once inside, they climbed to the upper floor where the uniforms were kept. Pilecki forced the lock, and they swiftly seized 4 complete SS uniforms. Meanwhile, the 4th member of the team, a skilled mechanic, had made his way into the heavily guarded SS garage. That colleague was a fellow prisoner from the same work detail, a brilliant mechanic, so skilled that even the SS couldn't fix certain vehicles without him. He slipped behind the wheel of the camp commandant's own Steyr 220, a sleek and powerful sedan that would give their escape the speed it desperately needed. The 3 others, now dressed as convincing SS officers, climbed in beside him. It was time for the riskiest moment, passing through the heavily guarded main gate. As they approached, the barrier remained closed, tension mounted. Then, as Pilecki later recounted, he leaned out and bellowed in flawless German, barking orders like a furious officer, "Open the damn gate! What the hell are you waiting for?" The guards, caught off guard by the uniforms, the car, and the sheer authority in his voice, scrambled to obey. Pilecki claimed he unleashed a torrent of insults at the guards, roaring in German for them to hurry up and open the gates. "Don't you have anything better to do?" Intimidated by the apparent authority of the uniformed officers in the commandant's own car, the SS men snapped to attention and raised the barrier without question. In broad daylight, Pilecki and his 3 comrades had achieved the impossible. They escaped Auschwitz with the camp's own guards unwittingly opening the gates for them, a moment of supreme bitter irony. Minutes later, they were speeding into the distance, free. From that instant, Pilecki's vital message began its extraordinary odyssey. Once safely delivered to the Polish resistance, it journeyed across occupied Germany, slipped into the free zone of France, crossed the Pyrenees into Spain, and finally sailed across the Channel to Great Britain. In London, the Polish government in exile maintained close ties with Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Through these channels, the British authorities received 8 separate reports that Witold Pilecki had managed to transmit by various clandestine routes. He described the relentless beatings and the chronic starvation rations. The SS, he wrote, were nothing less than executioners. With each successive message, the grim truth became unmistakable to the British. The Nazi concentration camp system was engaged in the systematic slaughter of human beings, and that was only the beginning. The Allies soon learned that Nazi brutality was escalating to unprecedented, unimaginable scales. In the midsummer of 1941, a highly confidential dossier landed on Winston Churchill's desk, stamped with the stark warning, "To be kept under lock and key, never to leave this office." Compiled by the British Secret Intelligence Service, the file contained intercepted German radio transmissions. These decrypted messages revealed a chilling truth. For months, the Nazis had been conducting mass executions of Jews on a vast scale across the Eastern Front. Subsequent intercepts painted an even grimmer picture. One message dated August 27, 1941, reported the slaughter of Jews yet again. Police Battalion 302 boasted of shooting 4,200 Jews with no casualties on their side. SS and police commanders routinely transmitted such dispatches. 3,000 Jews executed in one location, 4,000 in another, a relentless pattern of mass shootings targeting Jews and suspected communist officials alike. The reports piled higher on Churchill's desk. Slowly, inexorably, the British Prime Minister was confronted with the appalling truth. As Nazi forces advanced deeper into Soviet territory, they were systematically rounding up and murdering entire Jewish communities. This phase of the genocide would later be known as the Holocaust by bullets, claiming the lives of more than 1 million Jews. Churchill resolved to act. On August 24, 1941, he took to the BBC airwaves to sound a chilling alarm. Since the Mongol invasions of Europe in the 13th century, he declared, there has never been methodical, merciless butchery on such a scale. This is but the foretaste, the beginning. We are in the presence of a crime without a name. His stark words, "a crime without a name," echoed across the Western world. marking the first time a major Allied leader publicly condemned the unfolding atrocity. Yet Churchill's impassioned warning fell largely on deaf ears. What more could he do? The atrocities were unfolding thousands of kilometers away, deep inside Nazi-occupied territory, while Western Europe lay almost entirely under Hitler's boot. It was, in a sense, a cruel mental shortcut. The sheer distance and helplessness bred inaction. In 1941, Churchill stood virtually alone in Europe. To his west, nearly every government had capitulated to the Nazi regime. To the east, Stalin's Soviet Union had just been savagely invaded by German forces. And across the Atlantic, the United States had yet to enter the war. Churchill's urgent warning thus echoed largely into the void. Unbeknownst to him, Hitler was already orchestrating in absolute secrecy the most irrational and monstrous of schemes, a crime that defied all reason. On January 20th, 1942, in the quiet lakeside town of Wannsee, just south of Berlin, 15 high-ranking officials of the Third Reich gathered in an elegant villa for a clandestine conference. Their purpose was chillingly bureaucratic: to coordinate the practical details of a top-secret program, the deportation and systematic assassination of Europe's Jews. Nearly every branch of the Nazi administration was represented at the table, each putting its stamp on the operation. The sole objective, to accelerate the process with ruthless efficiency. Among the attendees was the notoriously zealous Adolf Eichmann, a high-ranking official in charge of Jewish affairs for the Reich. It fell to Eichmann to draft the official minutes of the conference. As he later described it, the men smoked cigars, sipped cognac, and conducted themselves as if it were an ordinary business meeting. Yet careful precautions were observed. Nowhere in the discussions, or in the written record, did words like kill, murder, or exterminate appear. Instead, they cloaked their intent in chillingly bureaucratic euphemism. Endlösung der Judenfrage, the final solution to the Jewish question. The plan's existence had to remain utterly secret at any cost. The participants were almost certainly aware that they were crossing an irrevocable moral line, that the industrialized murder of men, women, elderly people, children, and infants was an abomination beyond acceptance. In theory, only Hitler and his innermost circle knew the full scope of what had been set in motion. Yet secrets of such magnitude rarely stay buried. Information began to leak, and it came from a source deep within the Third Reich itself, a man who risked everything to smuggle the truth to the Allies. This man played a pivotal role in exposing the horrors, yet his identity remains one of the most closely guarded secrets of the era. The key that finally allowed historians to identify him was a single document, a telegram dated August 29, 1942, addressed to the World Jewish Congress in New York. It laid bare the Nazi blueprint in stark terms. Received alarming report that in Führer's headquarters a plan discussed and under consideration to deport all Jews in countries occupied or controlled by Germany, number 3.5 to 4 million. Sent anonymously to protect the source, the telegram offered only the faintest clues about its originator. The telegram described its source vaguely, an informer known to be close to the highest German authorities, whose reports are considered to be reliable, and who stated to have close connections with highest German authorities and his reports generally reliable. In the United States, no one, not even in the uppermost echelons of the Roosevelt administration, knew the true identity of this courageous whistleblower. For decades, it remained one of the Holocaust's most profound secrets.